Go ahead.
Okay. Our mission. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. Helping Parents Heal goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. Helping Parents Heal affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at all Helping Parents Heal meetings is voluntary. All discussions that take place at affiliate-led meetings are confidential. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Zoom meetings run by Helping Parents Heal leadership are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of Helping Parents Heal meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with our children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much, Irene. And I'm going to quickly introduce both Dr. Sonia Rinaldi and Sandra Champlain so that you all know a little bit more about them, although they've been on Helping Parents Heal several times before. Dr. Sonia Rinaldi, MSc, Ph.D., is an international speaker, author, and columnist, and has been participating in research on instrumental transcommunication, ITC, for over 35 years, obtaining remarkable results in images and voices. As a leading authority in ITC, she has developed new technologies to record extracorporeal consciousness, pioneered the use of computers to record transcontacts, and introduced new devices in the field of transcommunication, including telephone, cell phone, Skype, etc. She is the co-founder and research director of IPATI, the Institute of Advanced Research on Instrumental Transcommunication, and the website is www.ipati.org. For Sandra, and she was just here recently, and I'm so glad she's back again. The fear of dying led Sandra Champlain on a 15-year journey to find evidence of the afterlife. She privately studied the worlds of psychic ability, mediumship, past life regression, near-death experiences, induced after-death communication, reincarnation, electronic voice phenomena, dowsing, and remote viewing. Her fears were rested when she determined that there is sufficient proof that we don't die. She shared her real story in her book, We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death, which is now a #1 international bestseller. You can learn more about her book, her radio show, and her new film, Rinaldi, on her website, wedon'tdie.com, which is very easy. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Sonia and Sandra. Welcome.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Oh, I think, Sonia, we couldn't be happier, could we?
Yes.
We are very happy and welcome. And I've got the three of us spotlighted. I thought it would be easy because I'm going to say a lot of nice things about Sonia, and then you can see her smile. She's shaking.
Don't do that, please. You know that I don't like it.
No, I know. I don't either. But I feel that we are all so blessed to be together today. And I thought we can definitely talk about the movie that will be out on Tuesday, about Sonia, about her work, and it's life-changing. And for me, it is the top reason to believe in the afterlife. But I also wanted to make this a celebration. we all have different backgrounds. We all have experienced lots of love and then also lots of pain. And whatever journey you are on, whatever part of the journey you're on, and I know it's very, very, very difficult, but sometimes that pain can wake up our soul to go on a search. And in that search, we find and we get a life that we couldn't have imagined before. We meet great people like Sonia, like Irene, like Elizabeth, our friends with Helping Parents Heal, you guys. We become part of a community. We talk about something that not many people are talking about. A lot of people are very afraid to talk about the afterlife. They don't want to look silly or bad. They don't want to be judged for their beliefs. But I think for each one of us, Sonia included, we go on our journeys. And with what we find, the best gift is that we get to share. And in sharing, we get to change lives. So Sonia is a beautiful, regular woman. Me too. We are regular people. And we are down to earth, but we have found something and we want to share. So Sonia, is it okay if I tell everyone how we met and what we've been doing?
You can, yes, sure, go ahead.
Well, for me, if you've not met me before, I am the author of the book, We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. I was on a journey for a long time looking for reasons to believe in the afterlife, to rest my own fears. And it was during that journey that I went to a conference about the afterlife, I believe in 2006, given by Tom and Lisa Butler, who started it was called AAEVP at the time. It was the Association for, people who are recording audios of people in the afterlife. And they told this story about this woman in Brazil who would use a device and make like telephone calls to the deceased. And she would let a parent be on one like telephone, this was in my imagination, and then invite the child who was in the spirit world to be able to use her equipment to record their voice. And I'm listening to this like, oh my God, this is so far out of what I would imagine is possible. And at that time, I believe all the recordings were in Portuguese, but I was left with this hope that this could be real. And for myself, I studied EVP, I've got my own recordings, but in the back of my mind is someday, I don't know how, but I would love to meet this woman in Brazil. So I think it was 4 years ago, maybe, that we met at the Afterlife Symposium.
Yeah,
I think 4 or 5.
Yeah,
something
2018,
like
I think.
Okay, 2018. Yeah. Oh, wow. Time goes by so fast.
Yeah.
And I was so excited that Sonia would be one of the speakers. And I thought that Sonia was only doing these voice recordings, which were incredible. And she does a PowerPoint slideshow presentation. And she's not only getting voices, but she's getting pictures. So that moment changed my life. I mean, incredible. Now, in my journey, my father has also died, okay? He passed away. It'll be 12 years in June. And so I felt very strongly, because there is nothing worse than grief. There is nothing worse than having your loved one not be with you, as you all know, to touch and to love. And so I feel that it is my duty to share everything I learn with as many people as I possibly can. So when I met Sonia, it was my duty to share this to the world. Right?
Not exactly. Oh my God.
Oh, no, but for me, Sonia, it was, because you live in your own skin and you feel, we're so hard on ourselves, but we are going to honor the scientists and the people in the spirit world for using you to do this.
Oh, yes.
And do you want to just talk a little bit, Sonia, about why you do what you do, what your passion is for really doing all of the experiments that you do?
Yes, sure. Well, let's see, seeing by the angle I see nowadays, right? Because obviously we change a lot during our lifetime. So at the beginning, I had one impression, one view about instrumental transcommunication, but today I definitively have another. Obviously, it enlarged a lot due to the results, to what I see, and when I observe the greatness of our spirit friends, what they do, because as you said, in truth, we owe everything to those scientists in the other side. I usually say that the maximum that we do is some 5%. So it is something insignificant. It doesn't mean anything. Everything is done by the other side. So there are so many angles to see, as for instance, the privilege of being in contact with those people in the other side who has an incredible knowledge of science, a science that we humans are still very far, and still they come down to our level to bring hope to those people suffering. So this is one way of seeing. The other way is perhaps seeing how happy the mothers become after they observe that their kids didn't die, so they are still alive. And this is extremely important for to re-energize a person who is suffering, like the mothers, right, or other losses. But I think that the case of mothers are the worst, more delicate, more devastating many times. And I think that, and after all, maybe the most important thing of all these is not only to assist one person or two person, or this or that person, but to leave to mankind the information that we live forever. And this is perhaps the most important thing that I wanted to do, because I think that this can help not only half-dosing moms, but perhaps the whole humanity in future, because I am sure that it is just a question of time. One day or other, it will be proved scientifically and there will be no discussion about. So today we still treat it as a belief, as something that you trust because the person is serious, but there is no still the proof that I'm looking for many years already. But this will come, I'm sure, and then it will be a revolution, because this new concept that we survive after life will not recover half-dozen mothers, but will change the life of the whole people, because you will see life with much more responsibility. You will know that you are here today, but you'll be in the other side tomorrow, and you will reply for everything that you had seeded, planted here. So it is so many things that are coming, and I think that we are in just this moment of this transition. And I'm very glad that I can cooperate with those guys in the other side. And I feel really a privilege to may be in the position today of help them and help people here.
Oh, thank you very much, Sonia. I don't know if you guys know my background, but I'm a chef, and I've worked many, 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 many years cooking for race car teams. And the man who made the film, his name is Robert Lyon, worked for one of the race teams. And he came into my food tent, and there was a big poster with a picture of my book. Life After Death is Real, We Don't Die, Sandra Champlain. And he told me when he saw that, he got very angry. He says, nobody can prove the afterlife. So it got under his skin, and he left that race, and he kept thinking, what is in that book? So on his own, he gets the book on Amazon. And now I didn't even meet this man then. Several months later, he comes to the racetrack and he introduces himself. And he says, your book changed my life, gave me hope, and gave me life. He says, you don't know me, but someday, he said, you're going to be speaking on stages. Someday, there's going to be a movie about you. Someday, we're going to make a movie together, and we're going to share this with the world. And I'm thinking, no, no. But everything that I have done, this man has come to our live events. He's become one of my dear friends. He got married just over 2 years ago, had me officiate the wedding. That was a first. And at one of our live events, he met Sonia, and he said, we are going to do a movie about this woman, and we're going to make it available to the world. And like Sonia just said, that someday this can be commonplace. But what it needs is enough eyes to see that this kind of thing is happening. And I have the vision that maybe young people, older people, they may start experimenting as well. Now, we love Sonia. She's got a very special relationship with the scientists. But I don't believe that if something were to happen to Sonia, that this would stop. I don't. I believe that the more people that find out about it, the more people will be interested. And as a matter of fact, there was a scary movie that came out years ago called White Noise, and it was about EVP. And unfortunately, it was a scary movie, but the good news is it got many people to investigate, is this real? Now, the truth is, it's loving messages that come through. Hollywood put the scary stuff in, but it got people to know about it. So I want to share this film with as many people as I can to have them say, is this possible? You know, what can I do? So anyways, Sonia, would you like to tell people a little bit what the film is about?
Oh my God. I just remember, I don't know if you remember that the day that you and Robert said, Sonia, we are thinking to make a film, a documentary about you. My first reaction was, why me? Remember? Why me? No, there are more people more interesting than me. But happily, you insisted, and here we have the video now. And it obviously shows my working person, because Robert came to Brazil, and many things happened with him here. This was very important because, for instance, he gave me 2 American persons for us to make the connection while he was here, right? So he would film me working with those 2 ladies, right? And it was very interesting because I was focused in what I was recording with one of the ladies, but I could see many spirits, many faces coming in front. And Robert was just behind me. And then I wondered if he was getting the same thing. So later I asked him his copy of the same video to see if what he was getting was the same that I was getting, the lots of the spirits and so. And yes, so his camera could catch also the same thing. So this was one of the interesting things that in a certain way appears in the documentary. And also many witnesses, many mothers talked about how well they felt after seeing their kids or listening to their kids. So the documentary talks about this, about the results, how people received all these new view that their kids are not dead, that this doesn't exist, and so on.
It's great. It's wonderful. And like I said, we're going to premiere it on Tuesday. And I just can't wait. So what I would like to do is play just a short clip from the movie. I put together several clips kind of just in one, just so we can look at it together. But we've got Dr. Craig Hogan as part of the film. And I know he spoke with you guys yesterday. And Alan Huguenot, he is an engineer, physicist. He trained to be a medium also. And so I had interviewed him on one of my We Don't Die episodes, and just incredible how he can talk about the science of the afterlife, and incredible. And there are so many parents and people that are part of this Helping Parents Heal community that are also in the film. And it is definitely a labor of love. We had invited people if they wanted to give to a Kickstarter plan to raise some money for it. We were hoping to get, I think it was $20,000, and we raised $45,000, which was amazing. And we're so grateful to all the people that gave. But Robert filmed so much with the parents and the people with the movie. And the final step was to go to Brazil, and coronavirus showed up.
Yeah.
So it was a good year and a half before he could make that journey to Brazil. And then he has been so busy to get it complete so we can have it for you. So let me play this clip. And then what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit more. And then we'd like to invite you guys to ask questions. All right, here we go. Just need to remember what buttons to press. And this is just about 5 minutes.
More and more loved ones who passed are appearing.
Its spirit can manipulate things from the other side, and it's resonance. It's all resonance.
It's hard to really stretch your mind around what her work is, but it is absolutely authentic. It's real. This woman has no agenda. There's nothing that she's trying to gain out of this other than to help all of us heal from those that we've lost.
In her laboratory in Brazil, Sonia is making what she describes as phone calls to the deceased. Grieving parents, in particular, from around the world would call Sonia, hoping to connect somehow, some way with their beloved. They believed Sonia had found a path. In call after call, Sonia would keep her ear on one receiver and says she let those in the afterlife use the other receiver. In the background, Sonia would play audio clips containing sounds of scrambled human voices. Parents were encouraged to talk with their children as if they were alive. This has become her life's work. and is a labor of love for Sonia, who has never charged a penny. Sonia Rinaldi's experiments and research to document a path to the afterlife continue to evolve. Testimonials from those touched by the experience have been shared around the globe. To many people's surprise and relief, Sonia has reunited them with loved ones lost, those who have passed away and are sorely missed. And now she is doing this not only through voices, but with some highly detailed images. The focus of Sonia's life has been to prove the existence of an afterlife and give hope and comfort to the grieving. She believes that someday this method of communication could become mainstream knowledge and practice.
Instrumental transcommunication is how we call the communication between our plane of life and other planes of lives via devices, through devices, electronic devices. Okay? Mr. Armando, can you leave a message to your son, Carlos?
So as that recording is laid on the recording device, they then intervene and change that electromagnetism. It's much easier for them to use if they have some sort of a background. There are EVPs that people get when they just walk into a haunted house or something of that sort, and they turn on a tape recorder and they get voices. Some of them you can hear and some of them are just garbled. Now, the most effective way of doing that is by using a voice in the background, and the voice can be either an actual voice or it can be a voice that's garbled up. It's not really a voice, it's just syllables. And so they're cut up and then they're played back in sequence. And they then are more able to lay down the electromagnetism on that. They use that sound to be able to make the voice. And especially if it's a child's voice that was garbled up, then it's easier to get a child to come through in the recordings.
Mommy, I can talk.
ITC is not a new concept. It perhaps started with Thomas Edison. In theory, Edison aspired to create a spirit phone to contact the deceased, and his writings on the subject were censored and locked away. Based on the principle that matter cannot be destroyed, Edison believed that the essential beingness of a person might very likely survive the physical death of the body, and that this being could be contacted after death.
World premiere, it's coming. Let me just tell you, for those who are interested, the film is $10. And if you go to WeDon'tDie.com, there's a button you can press there and you can order the film, pre-order it, and then it will be available to you on Tuesday, the 22nd. We are so very excited. We really are. That was 5 minutes out of a film that's an hour and 20 minutes. So I didn't want to give you too much. I wanted to have you, like you can taste it, get a little taste of it. Sonia, what are you working on now? I know in the film, we talk about some of your past work, some of the current work, but a long time has passed since the film was made and now here. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your current work.
Oh my God. I am impressed myself. Yes, it is incredible because I still am impressed every day, But I coincidentally, the day that Robert was here, because I don't think too much. I simply do things and go on recording, but I don't pay attention scientifically and measuring these, and I don't measure anything. I simply go and start recording. And I did that when he was here. And for some reason, it was such a perfect day because we could see live so many different faces coming in front of the lady that we were recording remotely through Zoom. she was in Oklahoma. And then I said, oh my God, that is the key. So I have a new way of recording. I will repeat this technique again and again. And so I did. And then the next images, the next trans images that I got already of loved ones from my patrons, and they were 3D. It's absolutely amazing. You have the impression that you touch. It is incredibly perfect. And still these days, I was recording to a lady from Florida, and 4 generations of spirits appeared. Her mother, her husband, her son, and her grandson, all of them together. And father and son were face to face, beautiful, meaning that they are together in the other side. So, you know, every day we learn something. And the images in the last year, let's say, got life. Now you feel that it is not static. It has life. It is absolutely amazing how the other side is developing and advancing. What shows to me that this has a reason. Possibly they are preparing for reaching much more people, and they have to test and test and test so that they discover how better they can work with us. Because we have to remember that they are not here, they are not in our space-time. We don't know where they are speaking from when they are speaking. And still, they have such a sophisticated technology that somehow they can insert all this information, all those trans images inside my computer. So this is something, it is an incredible technology. And I think they are testing and testing because they will bring this, they will spread this. So they are preparing things, I think.
Yes, and I'm sure someone may ask, if they haven't already, what is it that you're filming? Now, I know you have, and we talk about it in the movie, the Milligan Project, where you have different static coming into like a clear Easter egg, and you filmed it. And then do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing now with is it vapor, and you use someone's picture?
Yes, yes. You see, I think that in the research, it is very important to you to change every time for trying new possibilities, right? So happily, Scott Milligan gave me those, how do you call, projectors, mini projectors. And I am using all them up to date. I just changed, for instance, the egg. I'm not using anymore, but I substituted by vapor, and I'm projecting a static still over the vapor, and images start appearing. But one thing that I discovered is that, for instance, I made some tests with persons speaking from abroad. So, for instance, I was talking to that lady in Oklahoma, and I asked, she lost her mother and grandma. So I discovered that if the person holds a picture of the loved one, a big picture, in front of her face and towards the camera for me, so that, let's say, my camera is in truth recording the face of the loved one, right? Oh my God. This started changing, and things appear in front, and the deceased one gets younger, sometimes becomes a child that we can obviously later compare with photos that the family has, and changing in front of the camera. So all this is documented. So I think that is an incredible technology, because what we see here is just the photo of the loved one. But in the recording, it is changing all in real time. So this is one of the techniques that I create.
It's wonderful. And I know in the film there are some examples, and you can see someone holding up a picture of their loved one, but then you can also see the vapor coming up, and she's filming it, but then going through the parts of the frames, you can see the faces outside. They're not even, because, you know, our skeptical mind wants to say, oh, could it just be our imagination? But you actually see real faces outside of what these people look like with their loved ones. And Sonia, I know many people always say, oh, how can I work with Sonia? How can I work with Sonia? And it is about the science. And I know for you, if you do one experiment that might take you an hour to record, it could take you a month to go through. Because aren't there so many different frames, even within 1 second? I think so.
Yeah, no, it is, in truth, to record is the easiest part. The problem is what will I have to do later, because usually there are so many results, but so many that I have been completing one magazine to each person that I record. So it is sometimes 50 pages, 70 pages of results. A recent case that I recorded, it is interesting to comment, because the boy, the son, died at the age of 21 years old. And then appeared a beautiful child of some 8 years old. And I thought, is that possible? That is the same boy, because he died much older. And then I sent it to his grandma, and she sent me a picture of him when he was 8 years old. And it is absolutely the same. So you see, how can such thing appear from nowhere? So it is something incredible. It is a question of time. These will be all proved and will help mankind.
We will definitely help.
This is all amazing. I wanted to ask a question that I wanted to ask for a very, very long time. In speaking with Sherry Pearl from the very beginning, a long time ago, she said that the South American signal is stronger than the North American signal, but that they're getting stronger and stronger as well from the other side. Have you ever heard of that? And what about the European signal? Are there different locations in the world where there is a signal that's coming through stronger than other places? And would it be in Brazil that it's the best place and the easiest place to communicate right now?
In truth, not exactly. As Sandra commented at the beginning, for many, many years, I could just record the voices in Portuguese. And there was no way that I could get anything in English. And that was a problem for me, because I had some invitation to go to US. And then how could I show something in Portuguese? Because people will not understand. And, you know, what does that mean? It had to be in English. And it was a fight to get the first communications in English. Why? Because in truth, we learned later that each transmission station, and they have one to south, one to north, which gets all countries with English language, like Australia, obviously US, Canada, England. All these are cared by the North Station. There is a station for Europe. And recently is something like 1 year ago, maybe now, it was inaugurated the Asian station. And this Asian station came exploding. They made such a beautiful transmissions in the first test we made. I was talking to a South Korean friend of mine, and I was recording remotely with her. She was with the picture of her husband in front of her, and they materialized someone else in front of the picture. So it was materialized because this being, this face covered everything that was behind. So it was dense enough to cover. So, so there are lots of transmission stations presently to the world. These are, I think, the main ones. And now I think they are working in cooperation. And they have the best scientists, the best inventors in the other side. So yes, things are moving fast. And I think that soon they will be ready for larger transmissions. So it was a time really that the South Station was working more, because I was insisting more perhaps, but presently, whenever I have to talk in English, they connect with the North Station, and then the connection, the replies comes in English. So they were working in cooperation. And imagine that for the Asian station, for instance, it was recently known, and they not only have incredible minds of those Asian people, because they are very good in mathematician and physicists, all these hard sciences, those guys are incredible, but also they said they also count with many Tibetan monkeys, that they also not only use science and hardware and device, but also their mind to support the inventors in the Asian station. So it is so many things that we learn. And yes, we have many stations to work.
That's fascinating. I was wondering, Sandra, the whole idea of being able to have young people do this and having it explode around the world, is this something, and this is a question from the chat box, that anyone can do? Or do you have to have specific special material to do it? Maybe Sonia or Sandra, you could talk about what's involved in being able to get started in EVP as well as electronic images. Is it something that anyone can do, or is it something that's very complicated to get started?
Well, I remember Sonia telling me the first thing that you need, and it's 100% free, is commitment. Because our loved ones, yes, they want desperately for us to know that they're still around. But imagine their frustration for someone who tries it once, says, oh, doesn't work. I know with myself, I took a course on EVP, and I practiced and I practiced and I listened, spent many hours. Nothing happened. And then all of a sudden I heard something very loud. And I thought, oh, but they need to know we are committed to it. Right now, the only person I know doing this is Sonia. So to be able to give a book on how to do it, it's more using your creativity. I think the film will get people thinking about what they can do, because you don't need, you need a phone for pictures. She's using vapor from a humidifier, right? She uses other things as well. It's a commitment. It is experimenting. It is really having your heart in the right place. And I tell you, this is my belief, that if the spirit world all of a sudden is saying, look at this lady or look at this man, every day he shows up at the same time, every day he's talking to us, he's serious, and they may use their scientists to work with you. So that's the best answer I can give.
Thank you. You have We have a lot of moms who have kind of gotten into this. I don't know of a lot of dads who have done it, but I can name several moms. Obviously, Sherry Pearl has been doing it, but she's been kind of teaching people programs to be able to do the electronic voice phenomena. So that's something that you can pipe in the male voice or pipe in the female voice. With the imaging, that's a little different, and obviously, but that's so fascinating that you're saying that, because yes, the young people are the ones who are going to be finding even better ways of doing this, maybe, which is very exciting. And I wanted to just remind Sonia that I would love for her to talk about you're starting research with another group of people, and maybe you could talk about that if that's possible, and just because this is obviously a perfect place to ask.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Who love to.
Yeah, in truth, we just finished some last recordings. Recently, I recorded for 25 wives who lost her husbands. So it was a group of women that lost their husbands. Later, now, as I finish that, I'm making a new proposal, which is to record for mothers who lost 2 or more kids, to daughters, to boys, whatever, it doesn't matter, since we can recognize, right? So we will not count one loss as, for instance, as a miscarriage or an abortion, or I don't know what. So it has to be some children or young boy or young lady that grew up and 2. So I want to make a new group for these mothers. So if in this large group, if there are some people in this condition and would like to participate, I'll be pleased to receive you.
That's wonderful. So how is it that people get in touch with you if they want to participate in a study like that? Would it just be at your email address, or do you have a special place that they reach out to?
In truth, Lisa, I think I saw her somewhere here,
Okay, so
and she's my right arm in US. So if anyone wants to contact us, please go to Lisa. Okay. She's a wonderful person, and she will receive gladly anyone or for any question.
She's also a caring listener for Helping Parents Heal, so it'll be easy to find her because all of our information is on our website. So
yes.
Her in the chat box, though.
She put in the chat box her email address. And I also want to share something, because I know for myself, I don't ask for anything, but sometimes a little funds help us to go on. Sonia, this beautiful woman, has never asked for anything from anybody. She's busy doing her research, and there was a group of people coming together that we said, how can we give her something? She spends much money on all this equipment and everything. And so what was created is something called a Patreon account, a page. And for people that would like to donate as little as $5 a month, if you're part of the Patreon group, those are the first people she turns to for when it's a new experiment. All of her e-magazines that she talks about, with some of them have a few pages, some of them have 100 pages of all the research that she has done, is all on that site. There are many pictures of unknown people, because sometimes you don't recognize who they are. And parents will say, oh, that's my son, that's my daughter. So Sonia would never ask this for herself, but I know that I can. If you're able, even just to come join us for a month, it would make a difference. So I can share that. And then you can also contact Lisa.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so glad you talked about the Patreon site. And it's something that we've already posted about in the past, but we've had moms on here asking earlier if you have had pictures of people that you haven't recognized on there. So it's important for them to understand that if they go on this site, they'll be able to look through the pictures and maybe find their son or daughter there. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, sure. Still yesterday, they wrote to me a person who is from this association. Maybe I think she's watching us today. And she contacted me because she recognized her son in one of our publications. And then she asked me yesterday if I would like to see the photos of her boy. And today I replied, yes, please send the photos so we can also publish. So yes, there are lots of unknown people, men and boys and little girls, everything that appear, and we publish because we have no idea who they are, besides those that we know, right? So we publish it so that we have a catalog only of unknown people. So maybe a loved one is there, right?
That's very exciting. Well, I just want to make sure that we get over everything about this movie, though, before we run out of time. I wanted to just find out a little bit. You did the filming when you were here in the States, and then it took about 1.5 years because Robert had to wait to get to Brazil. But when you were filming in the States, was this something where you were doing the EVP and the electronic transimaging here in the States, Sonia? Is that what the filming was, or was it? Maybe you could just explain about the film itself, because obviously what you gave us was wonderful and it was exciting to see all of that. I recognized a conference that I was at in Scottsdale, and I guess that must have been the first place that you guys met each other. Is that correct?
It is.
Yeah. So I think that, well, Sandra is the best to speak about the documentary because she followed Robert all the time, but he traveled to many states in US to visit those mothers to whom I had recorded, and he interviewed many mothers, and then he came to Brazil. So he traveled a lot to get all very good images, all 4D images, 4K, sorry, images, so to maintain the quality of the documentary. But maybe Sandra may comment something else about it.
Well,
Robert.
Thank you. Yeah, there's so many stories that we wanted to feature the people that have received this, because you guys can imagine, and for those of you who have received an image from Sonia, it's life-changing. I mean, it'll take you from a hope and a faith in the afterlife to know, I mean, just a knowing, it's a complete knowing. My father was an unknown. And when I saw my dad, I have goosebumps right now. Just, oh, yeah, I mean, it's real. So to follow some of those stories, the lives that have been changed through Sonia's work, those are some of the flights that Robert took. And then also, obviously, to Craig Hogan and to Alan Huguenot, the engineer, physicist. But he wanted to go to Brazil and really capture what Sonia is doing, because for a skeptic, it's very easy to think that this could be fake, right? And it's very easy. And I think, you know, we need to be skeptical because no one wants to be taken advantage of. And I tell you, there are many mediums taking advantage of people. I think in every field, there are people taking advantage of people. So he really wanted to film her working with someone and film exactly what she's doing as she's doing it. And then to go back to the person who was filmed and see, here's the photo album, here are the pictures, that's my mom, that's my son, that's my daughter. So hopefully that answers.
That does. And I just have to ask Sonia, I know that you haven't had a child pass, or I believe that that's true, but could you tell us why you were so interested in the very beginning to have this communication with the other side, because I know that that was what really woke up my interest in being able to talk to people on the other side, because of having both my son and my daughter over there. But what was it that you that in you that made you want to do this work?
Well, in truth, we seen, as I see now, I think that definitively I was sent to here to do what I'm doing. And possibly I came already from that work, because for me to do this is something, I cannot do anything else. So it's something that I love. It's something that I know that is useful. It is important for my career, my spiritual career. So at the beginning, when I discovered that this existed, I was somewhat skeptical, because I was thinking, if this is real, it changed everything, and it is different to see something, a solid example, something like an image or a voice, than just a thought said by a medium. So this was something solid that I could investigate. So that's why I started being interested. By the time I had to lose anyone, only many years later, nearly 15 years later, I lost my husband. But by the time I was so prepared for a loss that I cannot say that I suffered. This is something that we will learn with time. I think that one day in the future, all this knowledge will be taught at schools for children. So they will learn that they will be able to talk to grandma, to grandfather, and that life doesn't end never. So children will know this, right? And I think that is what I'm fighting for spreading this and informing people the most that we can, that we don't die, as Sandra would say, right? We don't die, right? That's why I was interested in this. And presently, of course, I am very moved for many cases. In truth, each case of a loss is very, very hard. So I'm moved and I'm happy that I can help those mothers. Till in the future, this will be something like something more natural, something like your son didn't go to the other side. Your son made just a trip to Europe or anything else. You'll see him again. So it will be less painful than it is today for all those mothers, right? But we didn't come to that point yet. So we still have to help these people to overcome this difficult time.
Well, it's so wonderful that you're doing this, and I am so appreciative. Both of you are spreading the word that we don't die. I think that one of our big words that we're spreading is that our kids are still right here, which is very similar. And I just feel so grateful that both of you have put all of this time and energy into such a beautiful project. And I'm sure that everyone will want to see it. And the fact that we now also have information about the Patreon site, Patreon, is it?
Patreon.
Patreon. Being able to have that up there so that people will contribute, but also go on there and see if their own children might be pictured on there, which is very exciting. Is also it's also wonderful. So we're coming up to the end of the hour, and it's interesting because this group that you that is going to be meeting after this group is a group for parents who have had all of their children pass, or a single child that they had. But definitely is going to be people who would be interested in this study as well. So I appreciate you doing that for those parents, because I'm sure that it's probably one of the hardest things to imagine, to not just have one child pass, but have more than one child pass. So thank you for doing that as well. The movie is coming out on the 22nd of February, 2022, which is a beautiful and very sacred number. And again, you can reserve your advanced viewing on wedon'tdie.com. Is that correct?
That's right. And someone was asking too, will it be on TV? Eventually, we're aiming to get it on Netflix. It will be on Amazon Prime, but we're starting it out small just to get it out there. And through the site that it's on, you will be able to screencast it somehow to your television set, because it is in very high definition. So be waiting for that. And there's subtitles and all those good things that need to happen.
Well, this is all very exciting. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking about this beautiful movie. And thank you all for being here. And we always ask everyone to unmute themselves and say thank you and goodbye. So if you'd like to do so, please go ahead and do so now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Sonia.
Thank you.
Thank you to all. Bye-bye.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
You as well, Elizabeth. Thank you, everyone.